Hello, my dear friends. Welcome to the show. Jack Chow on East West with G&E TV. Well, probably we call ourselves Angelinos. Angelinas, whoever may happen to be behind the TV or behind that side of the camera. I would say that we know little about our city of LA, by which we call ourselves Angelino or Angelinas. It's a shame, it's a proud, it's everything. It's a sweet and sour situation. Well, the fact that we do not know LA very much, I try to dig into the reasons. Are we not trying hard enough? Or is the city of LA not transparent enough? I don't know. To get an answer, I have invited a brand new friend of mine and a big guy who went to Harvard. And well, better still, you went to Howard with lots of big shots, right? Such as Al Gore, such as George W. Bush, such as
Mitt Romney.
Mitt Romney. Yeah. All right, good. So he is now the founder and the CEO of Target Media Partners, and is a publisher for classified ads.
Classified ads.
Right. But yet, doing ad is one thing, but doing City Watch is the other. It is his part of doing the City Watch that gets my eyes open that I have invited here. I said, Jack, come over here, please. His full name is Dr. Jack Humphreysville.
Humphreyville.
All right, so welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Pleasure to be here.
Thank you, sir. It's my pleasure to get a moment to get my eyes open to about the city. Call it City Watch, observation, whatever, right? About LA City, we have a lot to ask. But before that, though, I would like to bring my audience this is the background about yourself, right? Your education, your experiences, what you have done so far, what you feel proud of yourself, your saving account number, stuff like that.
Okay.
All right, good. So go ahead, please.
I've lived in Los Angeles for about 30 years now. My wife and I have 3 daughters. We live in Windsor Square in the same old boring house that we've lived in for many years.
All right, okay. That's not boring. It's a big city.
We moved out here around 30 years ago in 1984, right at the end of the Olympics. And we had previously lived in New York City. I was born and raised in New London, Connecticut, which is best known for making nuclear submarines. I went to Harvard College when I graduated in 1970, and I went to Harvard Business School, and I graduated in 1975.
Wow.
And then worked for about 10 years in New York City for investment banking. And then I came out here in 1984 to work for a firm called Drexel Burnham and all the junk bonds. And that was a lot of fun. And then we, in the early '90s, my wife and I, along with a group of other people, investors, purchased the recycler classifieds. Oh. And so we did that. We're doing that for the last, I guess, 20 or so years. And that's our business. It's obviously changed considerably given the internet. But so and we have operations in about 35 cities around the country. Just small classified ads.
Sure. And of course, today we're not talking about your classified ad part. We're talking about one of your biggest programs, which is called City Watch, the LA Watch, to be more specific. So what do you do with that?
Well, I basically write columns, articles, about twice a week for City Watch, and they usually concern either one of two topics: either the city of Los Angeles and its finances, importantly, its finances, or financial matters, and the other one is on our Department of Water and Power.
I see.
And they're areas that I find interesting. I've written probably 600 or 700 articles, most of them on those two topics. So I've developed an institutional knowledge in those areas. I happen to being a former investment banker, I like to read the financial statements. Oh wow! Which our politicians certainly don't read them. They don't even understand the finances, unfortunately.
That's really a big approach. To be honest with you, I've been here for 31 years.
You beat me by a year.
So I have witnessed the ups and downs of LA myself. There are good part to notice. For example, the smog situation gets controlled finally quite a bit, whereas China versus China, India, they're starting to have it. As the developing countries, they cannot get away from it without having to deal with it in a strategic way, right? So, which I believe LA did a good job. And on the other hand, though, you're talking about infrastructure. I remember last summer there's a bust of water pipelines, right? And with the bust, we found out that those pipelines were kind of more than 100 or 130 years old that needs to be replaced. So what did you do? What did you find out with that kind of bust and the related matters, such as infrastructure is concerned?
Well, you have two parts of the infrastructure. You have one, let's say the Department of Water and Power, which is separate from the city, and let's say it's roads.
I see.
But the basic problem that you have in both of those is that the city has basically shortchanged them. At the city level, for example, in order to pay for all the salary and pension and benefit increases, the city council decided that they were not going to spend the appropriate amount of money on our infrastructure, maintaining our streets and our sidewalks.
All right.
The Department of Water and Power is sort of the same situation. Over the past year, in years past, the department was unable to raise its rates sufficiently to cover the maintenance and replacement of the water pipelines. And the reason for that was the city council was very reluctant to raise rates because all the ratepayers would yell and holler and scream. Well, it's actually interesting. In 2005, we had a revolt, if you will, of the ratepayers when the Department of Water and Power wanted to increase the water rates by 18%, and the people out in the valley went absolutely crazy. And as a result, we ended up, the Department of Water and Power ended up entering into an agreement, a memorandum of understanding with the neighborhood councils, which is the only one that's in a city, that any city department has with the neighborhood councils. And it's an important piece of, it's an important document in that the department has basically pledged to keep us informed about what's going on. Now, that was not the case until recently when we had a new general manager named Ron Nichols, and also a fellow named Austin Butner, who was working for the mayor at that point in time. He's now the publisher of the Los Angeles Times. But they started to go out there and tell us what was going on and being much more frank and much more forward.
All right.
But we still have a major problem with the with our water pipelines. We have major problems with some of the electricity side, and our streets and our sidewalks are an absolute mess.
It looks like, sir, exactly a chain reaction of the whole thing, right? Now, the increase of the water power rate is caused by the call of the infrastructures over the years, right? And for that, the capability of paying is being impacted by the increase of the cost of the pension plans.
Yes.
And then it goes to pension plans, and it was fixed in a certain way at a time when we were making good money. Well, it doesn't stand time. So now that we end up facing those skyrocketing pension plans. So now it comes to me exactly what has caused the increase of the rate, either the infrastructure itself or the pension plan itself. In other words, it's a man-made problem. It's not a man-made problem.
They're both basically man-made problems. For the Department of Water and Power, you have three things that are going on. One, you mentioned the need for the infrastructure.
All right.
The second one is the retirement plans.
Oh,
and
yeah,
And
sure.
that's not only the pension plans, but it's also the post-retirement medical benefits,
You're right.
which is a big ticket. And then the third one in the Department of Water and Power is all the new environmental regulations. Whether it's the Clean Water Act for that we can't have open reservoirs anymore.
Okay.
So there's all sorts of issues involved with that. Then you get into the issues of water with regards to the LA River. Are we going to take potable water, drinking water, and put it into the river? Are we going to use recycled water for that? At the same time, we're importing like 85% of our water, whether it's from the Owens Valley or from Northern California or from the Colorado River.
All right.
But but the Department of Water and Power is, I think, in relatively good shape, much better shape than the city. our city's finances are an absolute mess.
Okay, all right, okay, all right. To my audience today is one of the very, very little chance, very few chance that we get together some information for you to the understanding of our beautiful city, LA. We call ourselves Angelinos without understanding too much about LA. This is one of the chance. With my invitation, my good friend, Mr. Jack Hanfreville is here to share his thoughts about LA City. He, matter of fact, is a business owner himself. He he is the creator and the CEO of Target Media Partnership. And I find myself interested in part of the job he does. That is a column that he keeps writing on a twice a week basis called LA City Watch. City Watch, that's the part. So let's take a short moment now. When we come back, we'll find out from Mr. Jack Hammersville about where did the money go. I heard about 4 million something last year, so let's find out. So,
It'd be great.
So stay with us, please.